Cheap tools. If you buy cheap tools that you'll be working with daily, it'll quickly become a problem as you're either going to get annoyed by them not working like they should, you'll involuntarily damage your work, or even worse, hurt yourself, which is pretty annoying to say the least. Now, don't get me wrong though, cheaper tools do have their place on the job site, but when it comes to doing good, consistent, quality work, you need good quality tools to do so. Paying a little extra for tools has some advantages, like getting the lifetime warranty that most big brands offer. You'll enjoy working with them a whole lot more as they're easier and smoother to use, and you won't be wasting your time rebuying tools. So trust me, it's all worth it in the end. I'll be listing all of the good quality tools in the description box below if you're interested in buying them after this video. So with that said, here are 5 tools you don't want to skimp on as a plumber or do-it-yourselfer if you do care about your work. Number 1 are pipe wrenches. Your pipe wrenches are one of the hardest working tools in your toolbox. Here's a cheap wrench next to a real rigid brand one, and they almost look identical, but one is made of Chinesium and the other is American made. There's a few things you want to check to know if you have a good quality wrench, like the tolerances, the warranty, or just the overall feel of it. If you bought a cheap one, the tolerances will be sloppy, which means that the jaw won't stay adjusted at the right opening. And as you could see, these are designed to open with just one thumb. The one on the rigid easily opens and closes, but the other is really hard to operate. Something else I noticed is that the bottom teeth are held in by a spring pin as opposed to the rigid, which is actually riveted. So after a while, you'd for sure lose the bottom teeth and the tool would be rendered useless. So all of these things indicate it's cheap and not worth getting for quality work. Here's a good example of a good quality tool. This aluminum rigid wrench lasted me 12 years and the spring inside finally broke. But since they have a lifetime warranty, I know my investment is covered. Let's move on. Number 2 is a good quality level. Now, I don't know about you, but I always like carrying a small level in my back pocket so I could easily get my pipes and anchors level. Once again, you could skimp out on these, but let me just show you one reason you don't wanna and maybe you'll spend the extra dollars. Here's the level I've always used. It has a full aluminum construction and it's quite solid in the hand. If you look at the cheaper model, it's all plastic and feels real flimsy when holding it. Look at this. Would you trust this tool and put your work at stake? Not me. Even the magnets aren't comparable. The cheap one has a magnet strip which is really weak and the other has 3 neodymium magnets that really hold on tight. Also, there's some good quality models that have their vials exposed like this. If you can avoid these, do so as they're more prone to getting damaged. Oh, and a cool tip to know if your level is still good, by the way, is by making a level line on the wall, turning it, and making another line on it. If it makes an X shape, you could throw it in the trash. If you're looking to buy a good, affordable level, I'd go with either a Johnson, Empire, really anything that has an aluminum construction, the vials are protected, and that has good magnets. On to the next tool. Number 3 is a pipe cutter. If there's one tool as a plumber you don't want to cheap out on, is a good copper cutter. Why, you might ask? Well, there's a few reasons why. Number 1 are the tolerances. A cheap cutter won't have tight machining tolerances, and it'll cause the cutter to cut spirals instead of a straight cut as seen here. So the money you saved on the cutter is now wasted in time as you need to reset the cutter and make a new cut. Another disadvantage is that some could actually come apart like this one, and the better ones have a stop to prevent it. And lastly, the knob on the cheaper models are sometimes really puny and hard to grip on. If you spend a bit more money on your investment, you'll get a cutter that cuts straight, that doesn't come apart, and that has a good sized knob to tighten it. Here's a cutter I once got, and I actually had to grind the knob on both sides to help myself when tightening it, as if there was water on it, it was basically impossible to use. My preferred adjustable cutters in terms of quality, durability, and cost are the Lennox and Rigids. I don't really like this model Rigid because of the knob, but the newer ones are improved and much easier to use. And if you're looking for an auto cutter, the auto cuts from General Pipe Cleaners are my favorite ones. On to number 4. Number 4 is a pair of adjustable pliers. There's a couple of things I like to check out for when buying a good pair of pliers. The first thing is the pivot point. I'm not really a fan of this, as often they come apart and the nut gets lost. Something else I look out for is the grind quality on the teeth. On the cheaper pliers, the teeth have more of a round edge to them, and this tells me that they won't bite as well as the better quality ones. Another thing I like to look at is how they close. Most cheaper pliers aren't designed very well and close completely, which creates a squeeze point for your fingers. These higher quality ones don't have this problem. And lastly is if I could open them one-handed. This for me is an important aspect, as most times you'll need to adjust them while holding something, and it's just easier to be able to do it one-handed. These Knipex or Knipex pliers have a locking feature that to me isn't necessary for what I do, and it actually gets in the way when I work. So my everyday preferred pliers are the 10-inch channel locks, just because I like the quality, the guarantee that they have to offer, and the fact that they're easily adjustable with one hand. But I also like the Knipex Cobras, as they're thinner and their design is more centered so they don't twist as you use them. At the end of the day, it's all personal preference. On to the last tool. And the last tool is a plumbing torch. Now let's face it, tools do get dropped more often than we'd want to, and they gotta be able to withstand the falls. I once got a cheap $20 torch, and for light duty stuff, they work just fine, but because it's cheaply made, the stem almost snapped off when I dropped it. Yikes. If we look at my higher end torches, they've been dropped and tossed thousands of times and were able to survive through all of it. Another thing I like having on my torch is a built-in igniter. If you're working in the commercial sector, you'll be turning it on and off all day long, and having the igniter is a real time and headache saver. These non-igniting models require a dedicated igniter which has a consumable in it, and it could get lost when you need it the most. So pay a few extra dollars and get one with the built-in igniter on it. You'll thank yourself every time you use it. My preferred brand is Turbo Torch, and I've had this ST33 for my whole career, and it never showed to be weak, so it was a $100 well spent. But if you're looking for something cheaper that's good too, Burns-O-Matic has some good stuff. And like I said, I'll link all of the good quality tools in the description box below if you're interested. And that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to smash the like button and share it if you can. And until the next one, thanks for watching.